Good morning, prestigious guests. I'm told you are from all around the corners of South Africa, from various institutions. Good morning, Dumelan, Avshen, Goeiemorgen. It is my privilege to welcome you to the Northwest University, the second largest university in South Africa and the first largest university in terms of contact. As the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation at Northwest University, I am very pleased that today we have this function co-hosted by Northwest University and AOSIS, and I've come to appreciate AOSIS' dedication to the scholarly endeavor and their mission of unlocking African knowledge to the world. And it is not the first time that we co-host events. Last year, July, AOSIS did a public lecture entitled The New Frontiers for Scholarly Books. Dr. Pierre de Villiers, the MD of AOSIS, offered that public lecture, which left a very positive impact to our researchers. And again, in November 2018, Prof. Andries van Aarde gave a keynote address at the Northwest University First Biennial Conference for Research and Innovation. Again, researchers were quite inspired, and following that, we had a series of book proposals that we are working with AOSIS on. So indeed, it's exciting that again, we meet here today with AOSIS coming to showcase the scholarly works that they've been involved in. AOSIS has indeed developed a reputation for their devotion to producing high-quality research works, and the impressive array of scholars gathered here today is a testament to this. AOSIS and Northwest University have forged a commitment to high-impact, high-quality research based on shared values that reaches beyond the walls of academia into the heart of issues that we are faced with as a society today. A large part of this shared undertaking is performed through 5 Northwest University associated journals that are published by AOSIS, dealing with subject areas including humanities, social sciences, theological and religious studies, as well as science, engineering, and technology. Adding to this, 6 Northwest University-funded scholarly books have been published by AOSIS since 2017, with even more on the horizon, like I alluded to earlier on. The wealth of exposure and experience offered to our academics and the sheer volume of life-changing information offered free of charge to readers across the globe is so immense. It is a privilege indeed to be part of this collaboration towards ever greater research and knowledge in Africa, and to work side by side with AOSIS in changing lives globally. It really is about changing lives. It's about quality, it's about impact that changes lives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium Dr. Pierre de Villiers, the Managing Director of AOSIS, who's going to address us. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you, Professor Paswana Mafuya. It was a pleasure listening to you, and thank you for hosting this event at your university. As you've elaborated, we've got a very strong relationship with this university, and it's expanding every day, and we really appreciate that relationship. As a matter of fact, about 14% of this university's publication output is running through AOSIS. So that is an important partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to this event. This is an annual event that we host to reward our authors and editors, to acknowledge them for the hard work that they've done through the previous year. A special welcome to Professor Refilwe Paswana Mafuya, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Innovation of Northwest University, and also Dr. Matthew Moyo, Chief Director, Library and Information Service, who you will meet later, of Northwest University. Professor Johan Tempelhoff, I saw there he is, our speaker and presenter of his book later this afternoon. He's also from Northwest University. Dr. Paul Roberts, retiree from the Department of Water Affairs, who's going to comment on the work that Professor Tempelhoff has done. Also a special welcome to all those people watching this event via live streaming on the internet. There are more people watching this event from other venues than from this venue. And most importantly, a welcome to all our authors and editors here today. You are part of our story, and we celebrate your work today. I would like to just point out to you that you've got the program, and I'm not going to repeat everything on the program. You can follow the program there and see where we are and what's going to happen today. This event is presented in 2 sessions. The first session will take place this morning and the second session this afternoon. The first session today is about the new books presentation, right next to me here. And then the second half of that presentation is the Journal Awards. I'll say a few words about that later. Well, first of all, who is AOSIS and where are we from? As you can see on the screen now, we're actually from the Cape Town winelands. And on the front is some of the vineyards in Durbanville. At the end, the farther end, you can see the town on the hill there, and at the back, the mountains in the Western Cape. This is also our 20th anniversary as an organization. And in your bags that you received today, there's a small wooden keyring. Now that keyring and the piece of wood on that keyring comes from the floors of our building, which we renovated recently. Unfortunately, we couldn't save those floors, but they were so beautiful, the rosewood blocks, that we decided to keep them. And so we give you, each one of you today, a part of our organization. So you are now part of our story. A few words about publishing. As you know, AOSIS is known to you all as a publishing organization or a publisher, a scholarly publisher. What is perhaps lesser known to you is that we're now the largest scholarly publisher in Southern Africa. And the second distinguishing thing about AOSIS is that we only publish in open access. As a matter of fact, we started open access in this country in 2004. We also do e-learning services, which is the smaller part of our business. We are the certified Moodle services provider. As most of you or many of you will know, Moodle is an open access, or open source rather, that's a different concept, open source e-learning platform. So anybody can download and use it, but we are experts, we've got experts in our organization who can implement a Moodle platform for companies, schools, and universities. We also, on the same platform, we've got an e-learning service, which we call eCPD. As a matter of fact, that's where the organization started. ECPD provides continuing professional development for health professionals, mostly at this stage. We are expanding to other professions, but at the moment there are more than 40,000 learners on that website, and we also do content development for e-learning, which means that we create courses and develop courses for e-learning platforms. I want to say a few words about our scholarly journal enterprise. We started off in 2008 seriously as a journal publisher with 3 journals, and today we publish 45 scholarly journals. You can see the growth over the years. So we believe in organic growth. We don't want to grow too fast, then you need to appoint too many people, and the cultures of organizations are not the same. So, and that is about 15% of the journal market in South Africa today. The next slide is a very important slide for me personally. You can see the blue bars is the number of manuscripts we receive every year. In 2018, we received more than 4,261 manuscripts. We only published 1,833, which means that our current rejection rate, such an ugly word, our current rejection rate is 66%. And that is the main difference between a serious publisher and what is known as a predatory publisher, because they publish everything. We don't publish everything. We publish selected material, properly peer-reviewed, of good quality, and we add value to our authors' work. We are very proud about the quality of our journals. And the first thing that is important when you talk about quality is relevance. The citations, as shown on this slide, gives you an idea of the relevance and importance of the work that is published in our journals. The last 2 years, we received more than 10,000 citations from the journals that we published. So you can judge for yourself, what the relevance of citations in scholarly work is. So very proud about that figure, and you can see it's growing. It is also important for quality journals to be recognized in international indexes. Now, the Web of Science, formerly known as ISI, is probably the sort of gold standard for quality journals. Only about 20% of journals in the world are indexed in the Web of Science. And we're very proud of the fact that we've got 6 of our journals indexed in the core collection, and then our other 2 collections as well. So in all, 10 of our journals are indexed in the Web of Science. More relevant for universities, I think, is the Scopus Index. The Scopus Index is used by the university ranking organizations, which means they count the citations in the Scopus database and not in the Web of Science. So it's important for a university scholar to publish in a journal indexed in Scopus, because then their work, the citations on their work will be counted for their university, and it contributes to the ranking of their university. And as you can see, 60% of our journals are now indexed in Scopus. We also have 11 in PubMed Central, which is more the medical and health sciences, and then, of course, Medline. This is an interesting slide, which shows you the journal readership. Where in the world are people reading our journals? As you can see, over the last 10 years, most of our readers comes from South Africa. But also important to note that a large chunk of our readership comes from North America, Australia, India, United Kingdom, Europe, and so on. Which means that the work that we publish is locally extremely relevant, but it is also of importance to the rest of the world. I now want to turn to our scholarly books, because part of what we do today is scholarly books. The first thing I want to say about our scholarly books program is it started fairly recently, a few years ago. And we, from the outset, planned our scholarly books program to be in line with our journal program. In other words, it must be open access. And secondly, it must be Department of Health, Higher Education and Training compliant, 100% compliant. We follow a double-step peer review process. We use independent reviewers, and the review of the work is monitored by an independent domain editorial board. And that is why we, so far, it's got a 100% DHET success rate. The slide shows the publications over the past few years since we started in 2010. As you can see, last year, 2018, we published 13 scholarly books, and those books will be presented here today. All our books are uploaded on 3 open access platforms from the start. First of all, our own platform, also the OAPN, which stands for Open Access Publishing in European Networks, which is based in the Netherlands, and it's an European Union initiative. All the books are also published in the directory of open access books. Once again, quality is important when you talk about scholarly books. And I'm very proud to tell you that each and every one of the books, the 24 books we've published so far, has been indexed in the Clarivate Analytics Book Citation Index, which is part of the old ISI. So all the books that we publish are received very well by ISI. What are the relevance of our books? Well, the first thing that is quite astonishing. If you talk about open access books, there are no books sold. We can only look at downloads. So if a person downloads a book, it's basically, in the old language, a book sold. And in 2018, we sold more than 14,000 books. That shows you the impact of open access. Of course, we didn't sell them because they are free to download. But it just shows you the relevance. And then you may ask, but who read our books? And you will be very surprised that the largest readership of our books are based in North America. And then secondly, South Africa. So once again, the scholarly works produced by South African scholars are of international relevance and importance. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the bit of information that I wanted to share with you. I'm now going to hand you over to Professor Andries van Aarde, who is our commissioning editor for books. He will be presenting the new books to the authors or editors. Just an administrative ruling I want to ask. If Professor van Aarde calls the author or the editor forward, please come down immediately and join me. I'll be standing here in front, and I will hand over the book to you so that we have a smooth running of operations. Thank you very much. Professor van Aarde.
Thank you, Dr. Pierre de Villiers. Also, for me, a personal privilege to be here today as already a very good friend of the DVC, and it is really remarkable that we can have this ceremony today. I would like to call to Professor Edwin Ijihoma to come forward to receive his book. Is Professor Ijihoma here? Yes. Is Yoleta, you're going to receive on his behalf. I do have a note here that there is a request that I recognize Professor Daisy Makufani, the former undergraduate lecturer who served as the great source of the inspiration of this book. The volume editors of the collected work, Culture, Philosophies and Reforms in Public Administration for the Globalizing World, a reflection on local, regional, and international perspectives, are Professor Edwin Ijihoma and Professor Nzekweni. They are affiliated to the University of Fort Hare. This collected work is the first volume in the Association of South African Schools and Departments of Public Administration and Management Books series. It contributes to the scientific discourse on public administration in a globalized environment. Through its multidisciplinary lens, the book opens up a new vision for the future of public administration in the South African context and on the African continent. Yoleta will receive it on behalf of Professor Ijihoma. I would like to call on Professor Dani Veldsmann and Dr. Jolandi Steenkamp to come forward. The volume editors of the collected work, Debating Otherness with Richard Kearney, Perspectives from South Africa, are Dr. Jolandi Steenkamp, affiliated to the Albert Luthuli Center for Responsible Leadership at UP, and Professor Dani Veldsmann, systematic theologian attached to the Faculty of Theology and Religion at UP. This philosophical and theological work brought Richard Kearney's scholarly perspectives into dialogue with other leading thinkers, both from Africa and abroad. Richard Kearney is one of the leading global thinkers in both continental philosophy and post-metaphysical philosophy of religion, as well as an esteemed Irish professor in philosophy. I will call Professor Wala, please, to come forward. Professor Calvin Wala authored in 2018 two remarkable scholarly books. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you my personal engagement with all these authors. It was remarkable, and everyone is really, for me, was a life-giving experience. Professor Wala is affiliated to the School of Consumer Intelligence and Information Systems, Department of Information and Knowledge Management at the University of Johannesburg. In his decolonization of e-government research and practice, exploring contextual issues and opportunities in Africa, He explores the context awareness for e-government design and implementation. His investigation of different aspects of e-government in a developing country context, informed by the local context in Zambia, has not been done in any previous research. Kelvin, and you please, you can, because there's the second book. In his book, The E-Government Development Discourse, and analyzing contemporary and future growth prospects in developing and emerging economies, Professor Walia demonstrates how the complexity of e-government has evolved to include political, cultural, economic, social, and technical dimensions. In this book, he brings all these difficult aspects together through an analysis of carefully planned strategies. The book explores how intelligent e-government applications can be designed, especially in resource-restrained countries. Professor Makubele, please come forward. Issues around aligning theory, research and practice in social work education is the first volume in the book series Knowledge Pathing, Multi, Inter and Transdisciplining in Social Sciences. The book series editor is Professor Alpheus Masoga from the University of Limpopo. The volume editors of this particular volume are Dr. Lulu Shakwane from the University of Venda, Professor Makubele from the University of Limpopo, and Professor Lisa Blitz from the Binghamton University in the US. The book facilitates reflective thinking and address local realities about social work education on the African continent as well as in the broader global context. The book makes a significant contribution to the scholarly understanding of social work as a profession and a social science discipline. Professor Stefan de Beer, please come forward. Just 5 glossal responses to the planetary urbanization is a collected work edited by Professor Stefan de Beer, Director of the Center for Contextual Ministry at the Faculty of Theology and Religion at UP. The book provides a critical theological reading of the urban, deliberating on bridging the divide between the voices from the global south and the global north. In doing so, it simultaneously seeks out robust and dynamic faith constructs expressed in various forms and embodiments of justice. Dr. Chris Jones. Dr. Chris Jones is the volume editor of the collected work Justice-Based Ethics, Challenging South African Perspectives. Chris is the project leader of the Unit for Moral Leadership at Stellenbosch University. The unit aims to facilitate moral leadership in human development and communities in South Africa, and so enhance the quality of people's lives. This scholarly book focuses on important and burning ethical themes debated, informed, and developed by South African social scientists. The ethics represented in the book reflects the multidimensionality of the book, of the unique South African context. Dr. Dan Lepoko, a giant among our young people. Dan. This book, Nicolaas Bengenkosi Hepworth Bengu's Lasting Legacy, World's Best Black Soul Crusader, is a contribution to the HTS Religion and Society series. Its author, Dr. Dan Lepoko, is the founder and executive director of both Leadership Focus and Children on the Move, which provides after-school care to orphans and vulnerable children. The book is a scholarly narrative about Bengenkosi Bengu, who was influenced by both evangelical and Pentecostal theologies. Bengu is a religious revolutionary who planted more than 2,000 churches in South Africa and neighboring countries, while emphasizing non-denominationalism. The book's contribution to existing research with regard to the formative growth of Christianity in Africa is significant and innovative. Professor Marshall of the University of Venda. He will receive the book on behalf of Professor Charles Voliter of the Northwest University, who unfortunately cannot be here. The collected work raising the impact of education research in Africa is edited by Charles Voliter, Professor in Comparative and International Education, Northwest University. From a variety of subfields within the educational sciences, this collected work focuses on the issue of the lack of scientific record concerning the scientific raising of the impact of education research. It aims to stimulate scholarly discussion as how to increase the recording of the significance of educational research done in Africa and to offer informed recommendations based on in-depth investigation and analyses of aspects of the various discourses within the relevant subfields. Professor Kobus Creer, please come forward. In Signpost to Silence, Metaphysical Mysticism, Theoretical Map and Historical Pilgrimages, Professor Kobus Creer provides a theoretical map of what he terms metaphysical mysticism from a variety of cultural and religious backgrounds, including the religions of Judaism, Christianity and Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. in search for the furthest, most inclusive horizon, the domain of silence, which underlies the religious and metaphysical urge of humankind in its finest form. After retiring as professor in religious studies at the University of South Africa, Kobus Creer became research associate in the Faculty of Theology and Religion at the University of Pretoria. Professor Johan Tempelhof. This will be a short word from my side because the second session will be much more about my friend Johan Tempelhof. South Africa's Water Governance Hydraulic Mission 1912 to 2008 in a WEF Nexus context is our Laureatus book for the symposium this afternoon. The book authored by Johan Tempelhof, Professor of History, Northwest University. The purpose of the book is to provide a historical overview of the manner in which South Africa's water resources have been governed. The focus is on the water, energy, food nexus, a strategy that holistically contemplates the governance and use of water from the perspective of the interconnection between water, energy, and food as resources. Professor Amanda de Perea. Yolita will receive the book on behalf of Amanda. Voices from the South. Digital Arts and Humanities is a collected work edited by Amanda de Perea, professor in Visual Cultural Studies at the Department of Visual Art at the University of Pretoria. This book engages with selfies, digital images, text, and voices. Working through digital humanities and image studies methodologies, the book explores intersections between selfies, social media, the social media use and other digital images, text, gender, voices, and the use of human technology. Professor Malanel, please. He is with Dr. Dan Lepolko, one of our senior academics and mentors of many of people knowing him also today present. Professor Malanel, extraordinary professor at the Faculty of Theology and Religion of the University of Pretoria, is the author of Youth Ministry, an Inclusive Missional Approach. This book is the first volume in the HTS Religion and Society series. The book provides an inclusive congregational understanding of ministry. Youth, children, and emerging adults are just an integral part of every congregation within which they live and serve. The author calls this an inclusive and differentiated approach. Professor Nel offers his international audience an informative historical account of the distinctive historical development of youth ministry in the South African context. I will ask that Professor Pierre de Villiers takes the podium now.
Colleagues, I thought it appropriate that we should acknowledge two people in our midst. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep tonight. I saw Professor Daisy Makofane, my former junior or undergraduate lecturer, a woman who has inspired me so greatly. I didn't know she was going to be here. I'm very pleased to see you. You've been in academia for many years and you've inspired so many people, including myself. Would you stand for other people to see you? Thank you very much. And I also saw one of the recipients, my former student. I was a junior lecturer at the time, and today he is a professor and he was one of the recipients of the award. That is Professor Jabulani Makubele. Thank you, AOSIS. I didn't know your list beforehand. I would have requested for a better arrangement, but thank you. We are very pleased.
Thank you, Professor Rafilwe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present for the first time the AOSIS Laureatus Journal Awards. We decided that it's unfair that our books, scholarly books, authors get all the recognition and attention that they deserve. Because our authors of journals, within journals, and the editors are working very hard on those 45 journals that I referred to earlier to achieve the same level of excellence. So we decided to make 2 awards every year. The first is to journals indexed during the year in international indexes, such as the Web of Science, Scopus, and the Norwegian index, which is also now recognized for DHET. And the second award is for the most cited journal article in a particular domain. There will be 5 domains that we have in our organization. So first of all, let's go to the journal awards, indexed awards. And this year we have a number of last year we had a number of journals indexed into Scopus. The first journal, and I want to call who's going to receive this award. It's not here. Oh, sorry, I need to move the slide. Julieta, she's going to receive the award on behalf of the editor. It is the African Journal of Disability. The editor is Charlotte Capri. Charlotte cannot be here today, so we're going to give this, Julieta is going to receive the award. Now, the African Journal of Disability is a relatively new journal, so it's actually marvelous that they came into Scopus so quickly. It's a partnership between AOSIS, AfriNeed, which is the African Network for Evidence into Action in Disability, the Unit of Rehabilitation at the University of Stellenbosch, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Ghana. So, the African Journal of Disability. The second journal, I want to call Professor Alan Rubin of the University of Johannesburg. The African Vision and Eye Health journal was indexed into Scopus in 2018. This journal is also a relatively new journal. It was actually formerly known as the South African Optometrist, if I'm not mistaken, Alan. And it's a collaboration between AVRI, which is the African Vision Research Institute of South Africa, and the South African Optometric Association. The African Vision and Eye Health, Professor Alan Rubin. Can H. Degenaar please come forward? There we are. The next journal that was indexed into Scopus is the South African Journal of Communication Disorders. This, and the editor is Anita Edwards, who cannot be here today. This journal is the official journal of the South African Speech, Language and Hearing Association, the South African Journal of Communication Disorders. The next journal indexed into Scopus is the South African Journal of Human Resource Management. Can Professor E. N. Barkhuizen please come forward? This journal, the editor is Karel Stans, and this journal is from the University of Johannesburg. Ladies and gentlemen, the journal indexed into Scopus is the South African Journal of Human Resource Management. We now come to the individual authors of most cited articles. We have 5 domains that we recognize in, or that we use in AOSIS. Can L.T. de Beer of Northwest University please come forward? Now, this article was the most cited article in the health and veterinary sciences scholarly field. The topic of it was published, sorry, I apologize. It's in the economic and management sciences scholarly field. It was published in the same South African Journal of Human Resource Management we just dealt with. The authors are Frederick Stander, Leon de Beer, who is here to receive the award, and Marius Stander. The topic is authentic leadership as a source of optimism, trust in the organization, and work engagement in the public health care sector. L.T. de Beer. And now we come to the health and veterinary sciences scholarly field. My apologies again. Can Yoleta please come forward to receive this on behalf of the author who can't be here? This article was published in the African Journal of Disability, yes, the same journal that was just indexed into Scopus. The topic of the article is Disability Inclusion in Higher Education in Uganda. The authors cannot be here, they're from Uganda. Paul Emong and Lawrence Eron. So ladies and gentlemen, Paul Emong and Lawrence Eron. We now come to the Humanities and Social Sciences scholarly field. Can S. Hileta please come forward? Thank you. Now this award in the Humanities and Social Sciences scholarly field. The most cited article by Savo Hileta is Decolonization of Higher Education, Dismantling Epistemic Violence and Eurocentrism in Southern Africa. It was published in a new journal from the University of Northwest University called Transformation in Higher Education. Ladies and gentlemen, Savo Hileta. You can remain there. The next award is in the field of science, engineering, and technology. And can SS Mugambiva please come forward? Thank you. This article was published in JAMBA, which is an acronym for the Journal of Health Disaster Risk Studies of Northwest University. The title of the article is Climate Change, No Wonder, Climate Change, a Threat Towards Achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 2, to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Shangirai Mugambiwa and Happy Tirivangasi. Lots of awards for Northwest University. Our DVC is working very hard today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last journal award. It's in the field of theology and religious studies. And can Dr. M.L. Hovey please come forward? Violeta, I think the author is not here. The article was published in Verbum et... Is the editor here? Where's the editor? Oh, Dani, please come forward. Thank you, Andries. Professor Dani Veldsman, he's the editor of Verbum et Ecclesia. And it actually was part of his hard work to get this article so highly cited. The author is Molly. Let me just see. Yeah, Molly Mangoyise. How we would have received it on her behalf. All right. So the article's title is Oppressive and Liberative, a Zimbabwean Woman's Reflections on Ubuntu. Professor Dani Veldsman on behalf of the author. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure, and I call Dr. Matthew Moyo forward, please. Another Northwest achievement. It is now my pleasure to contribute printed copies, all the printed copies of the books and the journals you will see down below at the reception. We will contribute to the library, all those copies. And Dr. Matthew Moyo is the Chief Director, Library and Information Service of Northwest University, and he will receive this contribution from AOSIS. Thank you, Professor van Aarde. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our first session, the award session. I just want to remind you that we will start in about 45 minutes here in the same venue with the symposium on Professor Tempelhoff's book. He will present his seminal work, South Africa's Water Governance Hydraulic Mission 1912 to 2008 in a WEF Nexus context. And Dr. Roberts, our guest, will reply on the book. Can all our presenters and everyone who received an award this morning please just hang on for a minute and meet us just outside of this, of the hall. There's a big banner there for a group photo. And then I invite you all now to join us for lunch in the duck tank. Thank you.